you stepped into the world of business when, as you said, Dr. Manmohan Singh almost changed the grammar of business. Competition, suddenly tariffs which were protecting Indian business were brought down from 200 to 20. So competition was suddenly there. If today you want some earth-shattering reforms in India, what would that be? Something that changes the grammar of business.
I think that there's lots more that can be done on the ease of doing business. The government has done a lot. I think the state governments have to now, follow suit and work in a collaborative way with the center. And now with the BJP having the kind of national mandate that it has, there can't be a better time than now to expect that to happen. That is one thing I think that can really move the needle and make a huge difference.
These last 5 years have been pretty difficult for Indian business. Since I speak more about corporate earnings, earnings growth for, say, Nifty companies has been in single digits for the last 5 years. How do you see the next 5 years? Do you think we are breaking out? Because we've had some big changes like GST and bankruptcy code. Is the next 5 years looking bright, or do you think the slowness will persist?
I think it has to be a sector by sector and company by company approach, Lata. So you can't generalize and say that we are breaking out or we're kind of stuck. It depends on which sector. Even within a sector, you have 2 or 3 stars that, all of us know about. So I think it has to be specific to a few companies as opposed to a broad sweep.
No, the economy ran, sprinted fairly hard from 2003 maybe to about 2010-11. But the slowness that came after the great financial crisis, it hit us a little later. That slowness has not gone away. So you see that
if you see the BJP manifesto, and I completely trust it, I'm sure you do too, they're talking about investing 100 trillion rupees in infrastructure in the next 5 years. So we're growing at about 6.5–7% today. I think what we need to do, and I'm sure, it's nothing that is sort of a unique perspective, but we need to build an economy that intrinsically can grow at 8 to 10%. And for that, you need to build infrastructure. So you've got roads, bridges, of course, physical infrastructure, also soft infrastructure like health, education, so on and so forth. So I think infrastructure, developing infrastructure is not just important to sustain growth, it's also important from the point of view of creating jobs, of creating employment, and the whole virtuous cycle that goes with that.
There is this huge NBFC issue and banks not willing to bankroll, maybe not NBFC, maybe more housing finance companies. Do you see this dragging on for a goodish bit?
Any regulation today is going to separate the men from the boys. And it actually depends on how fast the RBI wants to come in and either provide a bailout or they want that shakeout to happen. I think that there are 2 or 3 such names, quite unexpectedly. And I think that, whether it takes a month or 3 months, that process of separation will definitely happen.
But your sense is it's better that there is a shakeout before, general help is provided?
I think so. I think that whenever there is a situation like this, the faster it resolves, the better. And I think that the faster the weaker players or players who, I don't mean these in particular, but the ones that have governance issues, kind of are taken out of the system, it's healthier for the industry as a whole.
IBC, has that changed the way businessmen think and behave, the bankruptcy code?
I'm sure it will going forward. It's just in the process. It's a new thing introduced 2 years ago. But I think that the psychology of an entrepreneur in India has changed forever. No one really thought that their companies could be taken away from them 2 years ago. And whilst it was a harsh decision, I think that it does good for the fitness of Indian industry going forward.
It's also giving you a lot of opportunities to buy companies, bankruptcy. Are you busy buying
more?
So
we did. We bought into JP.
Yes.
There is nothing else that
interests
you. And we don't want to come to the NCLT because we bought so many companies from the NCLT. Lata.
Now for the Jaldi 5.
As if I wasn't scared of you already, Lata. You got Jaldi 5.
Okay, let's see how Jaldi this is. Who is your favorite business leader? And I've picked 5. Ratan Tata, N. Chandra, Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani, Sunil Mittal.
My favorite business leader by and far is Narayan Murthy. So, when he says that a clean conscience is the softest pillow you can sleep on, and I think he's practiced that through his career. So he head and shoulders comes, over anyone else.
Okay. Okay, then let me ask, who is your favorite, say, political administrative leader? I won't give you choices. Someone who has impressed you, either a civil servant or a politician or just a national leader.
So I've been very impressed by Nirmala Sitharaman. I'm not saying that because she's the new FM, but I think that she has, well, maybe because of that also. Don't take this out of your clip on CNBC.
Well, the next question will definitely be, what do you want from Nirmala Sitharaman's budget?
Well, lots. You want me to start?
Yes.
I could talk for the next half an hour on that.
I permit you,
But
Jaldi
really,
5.
I don't know if, I'm sure you've interacted with her as well. Extremely focused. She knows what she wants. She knows the subject well. It's so business-like and yet so, she gets what she wants in such a sort of nice way. I was very happy to see her be the next FM. I think she's got great administrative skills, which is what you were asking. So yeah, I think woman power, obviously gaining steam.
Oh, yes. But you can still tell me one big thing you want from the budget. That's part of the Jaldi 5.
So I think all of us in business would want to see more investment happening.
Yes.
So some subs or incentives for investment on the ground is something that I think anyone would ask for. It's a universal ask from this budget.
Okay. Well, actually, let me not get down that path. It's extremely tempting. What has been the most difficult deal for you? You've bought so many companies, L&T Cement, Binani, JP Cement, you've bought Novelis, you've bought companies abroad. Which has been the Vodafone? Which is the most difficult deal?
So I don't know if I should be talking about it. Do you think I should?
You should. Absolutely. You have disarming candor. You should.
I won't talk about it too much because I think it's not appropriate to. But one of these deals I actually struck in a parking lot in Bombay. Okay. There was a lot of cloak and dagger around it. I don't know for what reason, but I was just told that if you want the deal to happen, come to this parking lot. Oh. So I landed up thinking, is this for real? But strange things happen, and I think it's all part of the growing up process and part of stories that you will remember at the end of your career.
I feel ashamed as a journalist. I didn't know about this, but this would have been the juiciest story.
This one you're not getting to know for a long time.
Okay, I must try and eke out a little more about this cloak and dagger event. Okay, what is a company you feel you should have bought? You told me Hindustan Zinc. But is there something else or some sector you should have entered? Something you're dying to enter?
I think water is a very interesting segment. I don't know if India is ready for it. So water, both institutional and retail. Just given the fact that there's water shortage, all of us know that. Productivity of water, how well you use water is going to become more and more important. I think there's a big business model to be made there. You have US companies who've done extremely well in the water business. I don't think India's, it's the right time for India. It's perhaps way before its time, but, it doesn't have to be in India. It could be in the US for, all you know. I think that's a great business to get into.
Okay, and now a business you should not have entered. I think I know the answer, but try.
Which is the answer? What do you think is that?
I'm asking the question. That's the only privilege a journalist has.
So, there was a very small business called Seawater Magnesia, which we had invested in. And by the time the project came into being and started commissioning, the policy changed and it just became an unviable business. So for every ton that you produced, you lost money. So this was very early in the time again when I just come in. And so within 1 month of its commissioning, I just had it shut down. And everyone thought, my God, what is he doing? But, I think that was a small investment, but taught us all a lot about being able to foresee change.
And I think that was a great way to evade a controversial question. Thank you very much.
Tell me the business you had in mind, Lata.
I think telecom. I don't think you wanted to enter it at all.
in perspective, if you were to ask me to enter it today, I obviously wouldn't want to. At the time that we did 25 years ago, it was a great business. We stayed with it for 25 years. We grew it from nothing to being today the largest player, not the most profitable, unfortunately not yet, but still the largest player. And I think at that time, if you were not to have invested, given the kind of businesses and the kind of mandate that we had, we would have lost an opportunity. We've been in businesses that have had their ups and downs, and one of the strengths that we've had is to stay with businesses over the long term. This is an extremely unusual case. I mean, I think this is straight out of Harvard Business Review. But yes, I don't regret getting into it when we did.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Birla. It was the most enjoyable one.
Pleasure and privilege to be here. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you.